Hello everyone. Here I'm going to talk about the research as politics with me and my group members Gandhip Kaur, Gurpinder Kaur on the topic of research as politics. In this topic, we will cover about the principles of anti-oppressive principles, and then we will talk about the structural social work, and then after that, we will talk about the research as a social justice perspective. So with the starting, so here's the social work research. So social work research, so simply social work means the activity which helps the individuals of society, groups of society. It's called social work. So doing a social work first, we need to do research. So for these research, there are many required skills, research skills, and we have to study some courses. So there are a concern in this in the social work research is the perceived gap between the research and the practice. So basically, perceived gap, which means or it happens like when the intentions of any researcher and narrator is misunderstood by the audience or the readers or the who's in the practice of that research. So to minimize the gap by showing how the two follow similar steps. So most social work research texts emphasize the importance of the following the scientific method as the most effective way to obtain trustworthy information about any issue, such as innovation in social work practice, the effectiveness of social welfare policies, and understanding human behavior and the impact of anti-oppressive practices in various settings like child welfare agencies. So now in the traditional scientific method, it requires the researcher to strive to be neutral, objective, and free from any influences of the society. Like he should not be influenced by any group, or he should not be biased. Like if he belongs to his own specific community and that his community is doing bad, so he should notify that my community is doing bad. Then you have to just educate them and express the problems of their community as similar as to the other communities. So well agree that certain aspects of the scientific method should be maintained. We do not believe that social work research can be value free, since as noted by the Carey. Carey is a famous sociological worker. He states that the beliefs, opinions, and prejudices held by any researcher or individual prior to undertaking the research will almost certainly influence their findings. Just as social work is committed to social justice and social change, there should be aim for social work research. We argue that the social work research should be carried from a structural perspective, and it should follow anti-oppressive practice or anti-oppressive principles. So the structural perspective views the problems experienced by people as rooted in the social, political, and economic structures of the society. So moving forward, so there's a structural social work. So what it means. So the structural approach in practice and research is basically mean as an and prior to any like any social activities which improve the quality of the relationship between people and their social environment by writing any by creating any change or by bearing something like that through which can build a strong relationship between the society and person. So this will help him to be a peaceful life and enjoying a healthy and justful life. So in this, it follows the structural approach in practice follows a conflict perspective of society, which within sociological literature is one of two perspectives of how society functions. The order perspective, consistent with the neoliberal ideology, like posits the society is basically functioning in an orderly fashion characterized by stability and consensus. This perspective views problems as being caused by individuals who do not um, Gagandeep Kaur, you raised your hand. If you have any question.
Yeah. So I wanna ask you first, as you discussed in the last slide, like
Okay.
I can you give like as you described the perceived gap. So I you described like it means if uh, like there's something right, but someone got it like as a wrong way, right? So can you give any kind of example with it so that we can more
Mm,
clarify it?
if we gonna talk about the perceived gap, we can like we can simply know that in India, in India, when any like sati pratha or
Yeah.
dowry system was happening, then Raja Ram Mohan collected the data and they tried to educate the people that you are not doing good. It's a social evil. You should unfollow this ritual or something. So but their views are misunderstood by the people who's living there, like they thought that you are interfering in our religion or culture, and then he tried to minimize this gap. This is the perceived gap. So to minimize this, what he did, he took examples from their scriptures where all the rituals are mentioned, and they said that, see, on there are not any description of any sati pratha or dowry system in the previous Vedic era. So why are you following this system? So the people understood, and now the sati pratha or the dowry system is almost finished. Sati pratha is fully
Next.
finished, but dowry
Yeah.
system
Yeah,
is
so I discussed it in the class as well, so I don't know about so much about it, like how it
yeah.
finished or by whom it was finished. So thank you, you clarified. So the main
Thank you.
aim I think here is that like on that time, like people got him wrong because they think like it's our cultural beliefs or we are not gonna change it or whatever, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
That
okay,
is a
thank you.
perceived gap.
yeah,
Yeah,
Okay,
that
thank you.
was perceived gap. As the time goes, so the gap minimizes and the problem has been solved properly.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. And
So
here, you wanna talk about like conflict perspective. Like,
yeah.
is there any example? I think if
Uh,
we can
so
relate it with
yeah, so like if
Muslims.
we're gonna talk about the conflict perspective,
Okay,
like in conflict, this perspective simply says that like when person or any people does not follow rules of the society, then it creates a social problem. So if you Gagandeep, like if you have any example, you can give. Otherwise, I will try to give an example to clarify this. Yeah.
so I think it's like views, how the views like social problems. For the like individuals, but they do not respect it. So I think here we can relate it to the Muslims as I think we know that before in Muslim, so in Muslim religion, so the whenever a man wants divorce from a lady, so he just says three words like divorce, 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 then the divorce is final. So the woman cannot keep their rights in the like can take their rights in the society, like she cannot give her opinions what she accept or what she wants about his or her relations. So but now it's no more, but now they change it. So now they basically uh, like they basically listen to both women and men, but before it was only depends totally on men. So I think
Yeah,
we can relate it to that thing
yeah.
Yeah,
also.
I
So
think it is
like,
similar to perceived gap. Conflicts are also as similar to perceived gap. We can
yeah,
say.
so
Yeah.
here, like as you said, that now there are rules against the teen. In simple words, it's known as teen talaq or triple divorce. So now, if they broke these rules of the society, then they will create a social problems as well. Yeah. So now moving forward, if you guys have any question, any no? So by moving forward, now let's talk about the mainstream social work. So like when mainstream social work focuses primarily on the individual and on maintaining a social order. Structural social work order uses the conflict perspective and focuses on oppressive social structures. So as in mainstream social work are asked by state to police the casualties of unemployment, inflammation, economic and neglect, and the policies that place private profit above human need. So, therefore, the structural social work research should expose the effects of an exploitative and alienating social order and create a picture of individual and group experiences of stigma and discrimination. And the mainstream social work mainly focuses on oppressive social structures, and it exposes the effects of an exploitative and alienating social orders. So now, if we're gonna talk about the changing in the social system involves creating social injustice justice, which involves bringing the voices of people who have been marginalized into the mainstream and giving them greater access to resources and power. So the social justice is the view that everyone deserves equal economic, political, and social rights, as well as the opportunities. So, structural social work is one means to achieve social justice. Integrating the structural approach into social work practice includes five practice methods. So, what are the five practice methods? Are so first is defense of the client. In defense of the clients, it's simply the social workers what they do. They use the structural approach to help and defend their clients against any oppressive system. Quite often, in this case, clients are not familiar with their rights. So what they do, mm, they advocate on their behalf of them. This includes writing letters, attending meetings, and if needed, subverting agency policies. Now they ensure that clients are aware of their eligibility for the research and how to access the resource is a final aspect of the client defense. Now the second one is the collectivization. So collectivization means it is a common for clients to feel that the problems they face are the result of their individual shortcomings. They need to now know that they are not alone in their struggle. An important role of the structural social worker is to connect clients to support networks and reduce their isolation and alienation, which simply means isolation or variation. Yeah. Now the third one is the causing client power, materialization. So materialization is basically known as the cornerstone of the structural approach is the materialist analysis. Many of the personal problems experienced by the clients are direct result of their material deprivation. A single parent on social assistance will often struggle with depression and feeling of inadequacy rather than focusing on the mental health issues. Social workers help clients make the connection between their poverty and their mental health concerns. Now, increasing client power in the relationship. So, clients coming from assistance typically experience feelings of powerlessness. So, part of the work of structural social worker is to increase the power of clients in the worker client relationship by clearing the contracting, avoiding jargon, sharing rationales behind proposed interventions, and showing clients what is their files. Instead of solving the client's problems, the workers that they help to understand their own situations, and they give power, and so the clients himself go and solve his problem easily without any issues or troubles. So the next one is enhancing the client's power through personal change. So it simply means like without judging or blaming, the structural social worker maximizes the client's potential for personal change of thoughts and behavior that are self-destructive or destructive to others. So they simply they do like they like they educate the client that he will know that everyone is equal, and he will disconstruct his thoughts, that thoughts if he's is thinking about any discrimination, and which will help the society as well him. So moving forward, so this is the practice methods and research all about. So by summarizing the practice methods, so it simply says the lower a person's socioeconomic status, the greater the chances of suffering from any mental disease. Which means if a person is in a poverty line or he is unemployed, this will create a mental problem with him. So by giving opportunities, by solving his poverty, which helps him to connect with others, so through this his mental disorders can be cured. Now by this is an example of materialism, and if it give an example of collectivization, like document this discrimination can be used in the process of collectivization. So now the anti-oppressive practice. So anti-oppressive practice, and what are the principles of AOP or anti-oppressive practice. This will be described by Gagandeep Kaur. So Gagandeep Kaur.
Can you hear me now? Okay. So now I'm going to talk about AOP. It means anti-oppressive approach practice. Like, so what it means is like it is a process of uh, dynamic, complex patterns of social relations. So, we'll now talk about like social workers research should follow the anti-oppressive principles. So it includes a number of social practices approaches for it. So as I would like to, there are so many approaches such as feminist. So we all know about feminist, like, but it is. So it is a belief that like women and men should given equal rights and equal opportunities in the society. So feminism is a set of ideologies and also the theories. So like its main aim is to give the woman uh, equal rights no matter which field, like for example in the field of political, economic or social, in every field they should give equal rights as compared to others. So uh, the feminism main priority is the women who are facing oppression nowadays. As we all know about the word oppression, it means like if a particular group, like a political group or whatever, who has a power beyond other groups, so it means like they are controlling the other group, so it is called oppression. So can you please go to next slide? Yeah. So now here I would like to talk about the different principles. So the first principle here is that social work is not a neutral technical profession. In fact, it is an political process. So what it means is that it is not a neutral. For example, if a person is giving uh, one side and then another person is giving another opinion, it means they both are giving, they both are keeping their sides, but their opinions are totally different. So here we have to understand it as a political process. It means in which rules and regulations are same. So we have to equally get it. We have to equally understand it. So then I would like to talk about participatory approaches between practitioners and clients, and these are very necessary. So because like it's a research, it means that it must be involved in all stages. So it includes the choice of research, methods of research, and then analysis of the research, like the data gathering facts, the analysis of the data, so for all types of things. So to clarify it, I would like to give example here. For example, if I go to a protest for Black women and someone asked me the question, so like why they are facing racism. So to identify all the things, all the facts, I have to do the research. So for all these kind of procedure, I have to do the research. I have to uh, like see the data, whether I can see the reports, recent reports from any news, or I can go to any police or whatever to see the reports, like what's exactly is going on. So by gathering all the data and then analysis is, then I will go to the final procedure. So this is the second principle for this. So I will now go to the third principle. And third principle here is that social work needs to build allies and work with social movements. So here I would like to talk about social movements. As we all know, social movement is that it involves, like, we all are in groups, so we all have a like legal responsibility in field of whether political, economic, or social. So we all are equally responsible to address the equality in the society. So we all have to challenge it. So we all should try to challenge the equality. So if 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 we will, if we want to take more information about this processes, then there's a chapter 5 in our textbook, which explains everything about it, like how the practice researchers trying to identify the different methods of research, so all those things. So it explains about its facts more in that chapter. So then our fourth point is a blended heterodox social justice perspective provides the best potential for transformative social work practice. So it means is that it provides like a balanced social work experience to everyone, so that they can whether they can share their perspective with each other to do the any kind of research, whatever they think about it, they can share with each other. So the last one is self-reflective practice and ongoing social analysis. And then so here they are talking about is that they can use a variety of methods. They can use like a mixed methods uh, to do their research. So like um, if we talk about here, like if they want to do any kind of social analysis in the society, so they can use various methods for it. So it means that yeah, they can use like mixed methods for it. So yeah, this is, you are mute. Okay. Okay, so sorry. So here's the journal from a student who is trying to share the anti-oppressive practice and like research. So she's sharing her views about the anti-oppressive practice and research. So here she she explained like what she observed after studying it is that it is like depend on all the researchers. It depends on all the persons, like whether where they are living or in which kind of like society they are living. So according to that writer, she's trying to explaining that for all persons they have different worldviews. Means if I am living in different religion and you guys are living in different religions, so for this approach you have different views and I have different views. So this is what she is trying to explain, that whatever the researchers points of view is about their based on their like locations where they are living or based on their experience. So that's it I want to say about. Now Grupinder will discuss the upcoming slides. Thank you.
So I will discuss about students' anxiety in research and practice. So basically, I think a good part of students' anxiety towards and conflicted feelings about research may be because they do not see the connection between practice and research. Uh, since the 1970s, social work philosophers have tried to prove that their practice was effective, but that was not. Unfortunately, social work education didn't prepare examiners or students as it should have been. So it became the main reason for the practice that was not effective enough. So which further this reason which further led to the demand of social work schools to provide training for educators and how research can be done and how practice can be more effective for them to understand the perfect meaning of practice and research and to remove the students anxiety from within. So next slide please. Here is evidence-based practice in social work. So I think this is an integration of opinions of experts. So evidence-based practice helps social workers deliver the treatment and services most likely to achieve the goals and to meet the needs or demands of their clients. It also helps that successful programs are widely implemented. So next, only by knowing that oppression is a social construction and it can social work embark on a deconstruction of oppressive practices and reconcentration of society characterized by true social equality. So basically, I think this means unless we don't know what oppression is, so we cannot eliminate it from our society. So basically, if we want to eliminate any kind of injustice, not only oppression, but any kind of injustice, so unless we do not have enough knowledge, so we cannot eliminate. So basically here the philosophy comes. Philosophy means unless we don't know what oppression is and what are the roots of oppression, so then we can remove it. Next slide, please. Here I will explain about the example which was given by a MSW student who described the prejudices of a Black woman, which she had and her other research mates also have in her research. So she was a Black woman and she always she always felt about bad presence of her identity in her social work practice as a woman and mainly as a person of Black color. So like the self-awareness that she has, I think how much of this will limit her openness to other people's ideas. So apart from this, her own prejudices regarding her identity and her experiences and biases, whatever she already has in her mind, can influence her participation in the research project. Next slide, please. Research can be done for social justice. Yeah, it can be both quantitative and qualitative. So apart from quantitative and qualitative, I think we should also look at PAR. So basically, PAR is a participatory action research. It is basically research. It is a basically research method that involves researchers and participants working together to identify a problem and develop a research-based solution. So the benefit from it be the one would be able to find the values and to find the significant knowledge people whatever they hold about their lives and experiences. So they can also share the ideas with each other regarding their topics and which can be more better. So then qualitative research. So I think it basically contributes to social justice when researchers promote the principles like equity, access, participation, and harmony for culturally diverse people and for those who are currently and have been most at the risk for the acts of social injustice. So it would mostly deal with words and meanings. On the other side, quantitative research would deal with statistics and numbers. So this both can be done in social justice. And I think apart from quantitative and qualitative, organizations also need to agree to structural and anti-oppressive principles that researchers tend to follow. Because sometimes what happens, some of the organizations do not agree or they do not support the structural approach. Next slide, please. So here is one of the questions from our book, discussion question. What are some of the challenges in conducting research from a structural perspective?
Um, According to my opinion, like as I discussed earlier in the structural approach, if we are like the person's own prejudices, their own beliefs, and the environment which is developed and is nurtured can affect the trustworthy information of their research. Like if a person is from any community and he is living in that community for almost a long time, and then he do a research against him, then he might be biased with this research. So it's better to be neutral and then do the research. Thank you.
Yeah, I think so, because I think everyone has their own set of cultural beliefs. So we all know that it is very difficult, especially in our country, as we know how the different religions or their cultural beliefs are different from each other.
Multiculturalism, we can basically say multiculturalism, which we discussed
Yeah.
in our presentation, right?
And
So,
also, I have a one question. Like in last class, I know maybe you guys were not there. So
Gagan, first I want to give the answer what I have in my mind
okay,
about this question. So I think inconsistency happens, and I think like if the answers would not be the same, so students would face challenging situation, right? And again, they would need to be more open with each other and understand each other's viewpoints, right?
Yeah,
And
thank you. So
yeah. So
here's
sorry.
the
Okay,
here's the
yeah, go
end
ahead.
of our presentation. Thank you. We have a great discussion about the chapter, and see you soon in the class. Thank you.
But
thank you
still,
very
I
much.
have a one question. But still, I have one question. We have 4 minutes. Sorry for that. But I just wanna discuss. Is
Okay,
it
sure.
is it okay? If
Yeah,
not, then I
sure.
can finish.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a uh, there's a question in the last class. So uh, like professor, someone gave the discussion question in the class for indigenous people. So like what we can do as a students uh, to help them. So someone said like we are studying, we can't do anything. But according to my point of view, as we our group created an Instagram group, right? So that also leads to a serve learning project as well. I think we can't do research or we can't do so much for them, but I think we can create awareness in the society. So if we will try to if we will try to use our Instagram not only for this course, in fact in the upcoming days as well, if we will try to post there something, and as someone has 200 followers or someone has 300 followers, if we will try to share it with 20 to 30 people, I think we can create awareness. So that's it we can do as a students. So
Okay.
that is I want to share about. And thank you so much. And I know we only have 2 minutes left, but still, thank you so much for this great discussion. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Very much.